I just want to say that the acting in the movie is so good. Like when Virgil is in the car and when he first pulls a gun on the white frat boy and like gets a rush from beating him, he's like, oh, that's better than sex, even though he's like a virgin. But you see this arc when he's sitting in the cab and he's getting high off of this feeling of power that he felt denied his whole life.
So this week, our movie is Better Luck Tomorrow. It is directed by Justin Lin. It's starring Parry, Shen, Jason Tobin, Sung Kang, Roger Fan, John Cho, and Karin and Cheung. It was picked up by MTV Films and distributed by Paramount Pictures. And let's first head off to Leonard. What did you think of this movie and what resonated the most with you?
It was great. Sorry, my kittens are galloping through my living room. No, I thought it was a great movie. It's from a writing, like I like that it opened like just on two Asian faces. That was great.
Yeah,
like really just like the lighting, everything is like Asian faces. You know what this movie is going to be, right? And they're just talking like normal, and and the whole structure of the movie was fantastic. Like great opening, like it opens like with the dead body, right? And so then and then the midpoint, like there was a great midpoint twist where he's like, I'm giving up this life of crime. And then, but it ends with a dead body, right? So you're like, where's this going to go? So like the plot structure is actually a lot like a lot of like category 3 Hong Kong films, which is kind of like R rating over there. So it shared a lot of DNA with like that cinema, like, and it was dark and amoral, like it wasn't like, it kind of like subverted the whole model minority thing about Asians. Like everybody's like, yeah, these were just like some Asian dudes from like Orange County, right? And they're SoCal. And it was just like, it was like the OC, but with Asians, basically, and a lot more crime and murder. But the thing is that what I love, like this movie, like I remember when it came out because like there was a big kerfuffle. Oh my God, what a white freaking term. Holy fuck.
Who are you?
That was so fucking white. There was a good couple. Some shenanigans occurred.
What the hell are you smoking?
Jesus. No, it's Sundance. It's Sundance, the film festival. And so it was screened there. And then some dude got up and he was just like, with all the talent you have up there, like, why would you make a movie that is so, empty and amoral about Asian Americans? Like, why would you do that to your people, right? And then, first Jason Tobin, because the room was like, what the fuck, right? And Jason Tobin, he just like pretended to pull out a gun and pointed. It was like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, motherfucker, which is fantastic, right? He's just in character. When that cut the tension a bit. But what was the big viral moment from that? And you can actually look this up on YouTube because it actually was all captured. Roger Ebert, famous movie critic, gets up and he was just like, that is so condescending and that is so offensive.
Yeah.
Because nobody would say to a bunch of white filmmakers, why would you make a movie that made your people look bad?
Yes.
If they wanted, Asian Americans be whatever the fuck they want. Basically, he didn't say the fuck, but like that was, and I thought that was amazing.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it was like, and that's the thing. I was kind of like, that movie was like, you can make whatever you want. And that was what Justin Lin wanted to do. Like, and he really had to stick with his vision, right? Because he was like, nobody wanted to fund the movie. People were just like, oh, we'll fund the movie, but you have to, and this is serious, you have to get Macaulay Culkin to play the lead.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So they're going to make Home Alone. I waited till Jennifer had a drank the wine. I was trying to make her spit it out her webcam.
Better Rock Tomorrow.
Better Rock Tomorrow.
Makari Karin.
But yeah, like it would have been a drastically different movie if Macaulay Culkin was the lead. It would have been Home Alone. But you know who actually gave him the money? Do you know who gave him the money?
Spike Lee.
MC Hammer.
MC Hammer, yes.
Close. Spike Lee, MC Hammer, very close.
It's Hammer time.
Like, you can't touch this. He said to like Chris, you can't touch this script.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Like, this is like the first like, because when he screened it, all these agents were like, "You're so stupid to make a movie without a white lead. Like, nobody's gonna pick this up." And then Sundance was like, "We're taking you." And then same agents were just like, "Oh, you're a genius." Suddenly they're kissing his ass, right? Because like that's how it goes in this, as a minority, trying to do minority shit, like trying to like pioneer minority shit. Like you're gonna get all this blowback from the people who are like, "Yeah, we just want more white shit," right? Because they only know the stuff that used to sell. They don't have the imagination to like figure out what can sell.
But you know what's sad, Leonard, is that yes, the movie did get made the way Justin Lin wanted it to get made. But the proof is in the pudding, is that this film got made and it was so good. And I remember seeing it and it impacted me in such a strong way, because the only film before that gained any kind of mainstream traction was The Joy Luck Club. And this was a film about Asian Americans where I could finally like identify myself with the characters.
Yeah, because you were a degenerate when you were a child.
Oh, totally.
It's like you're straight up these people. You're like talking. So the people who listened to the podcast on Monday, Jennifer was like, "Oh yeah, I got straight A's, so I could fuck."
And do drugs.
But straight up, that's what it was, right? And that's what this movie's about.
And that's what this movie was. But here's the thing: after Better Luck Tomorrow, was there another film like that, except for fucking Crazy Rich Asians, which wasn't even degenerate? Like, how many years later? There was nothing. It was dead radio silence after.
Yep.
The only person from that movie, John Cho, made it out famous when there were so many talented young Asian actors that just had no careers after that. And that is the tragedy of that movie. Not the tragedy in the movie itself, but the tragedy of that movie. Like, I bet you it impacted so many Asians, and then there was just nothing after. And that's fucking sad.
Yeah. I will say there was one other breakout person from there, Kang, who is still playing Han character.
Still Han. Why is Han his only name? It's like the Mei Lin of fucking Asian names. Like Han and Mei Lin. What is going on?
Oh no, okay. So Jennifer, Justin Lin also directed Fast and Furious.
Yes, he plays Han. Yes.
Yeah, so this is actually the same Han. So it's not a different character named Han. This is actually the same Han.
Are you serious? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where his life led him from this.
No.
Yeah.
Why wasn't that explained in Fast and the Furious?
Nobody thought Better Luck Tomorrow. It's just like you said. So like, what? We're gonna just reference some obscure movie in this massive franchise that nobody's seen. Oh, also, I was a high school student in the OC, and I hung around with these other Asians, and we buried John Cho in a garden. Hi.
One thing I'll say about this movie, because the only thing and I knew the character Han Seoul-oh, which, by the way, is his fake name that he uses in Fast and Furious, and they were saying they're making fun of white people because obviously it's like. His fake name was like Han Solo, and people couldn't really figure it out that it was fake. But the thing is, because that's all I knew, I was expecting like action-ass movie. I'm like, yeah, here's Han's origin. How many cars are you gonna get here? Justin Lin. No, that is not what I got. This movie was depressing.
Wasn't it?
These Asians are so evil. They're so evil.
Why would they make a movie so empty and immoral about Asian Americans, says Vong.
I did like it. I was just a little bit traumatized because I was expecting, Fast and Furious, the prequel, and that is not what I got. But good for Justin Lin that he was able to like parlay his success here to start doing billion-dollar movies and shit. The one thing that really resonated with me in this movie was like how the lead character used the fact that he had good grades as a cover. Because, okay, I'm just going to throw it out there. In elementary school, I was a bit of a bully, a particular to like this one white kid. We only had one white kid in our school, and we like beat him up every day. But even worse for him, because he was like a dumb white kid, and I was like had the best grades in the school. We would beat him up, and then he would get suspended because they would never believe him that I attacked him. Because they're like, Vong, no, you're the dumb kid. He's like our top student. So this poor kid kept getting beat up and suspended. So anyway, the whole using grades as a cover, I totally used that shit. they let you get away with anything. Maybe not murder. Obviously, this guy's in jail now. But not in the movie. But I do want to say this is based on the real life murder of Stuart Tay from the OC. Yeah, and it was 4 like honor roll students, one of which was already accepted into Ivy League schools, and they decided to take a detour and just kill a bitch. So
they obviously caught those fuckers, right? Because they made the news.
The news,
and now there's a movie about them, which is very unrealistic. I think one of the who's the frick? There's an Asian comedian, female in Toronto. She's very funny.
Me.
Well, I mean, yeah, of course, but also frick. Oh, I hope she's not listening. This is really embarrassing. What's that?
Jen Sacato?
No, she like went to Queen. She was a student. She has like a lot of like really.
Zhao Yang.
Yes, Jialu Wang. Thank you.
Oh,
yeah, you got it wrong, but you reminded me enough. She has this great joke where she talks about she was watching like some documentary on Netflix about the Menendez brothers who like murdered their parents and stuff like that. And she was like, there's all these documentaries about white people who murder their parents. And it's because like white people are stupid and they get caught. Like if I was I'm an Asian, and if I murdered my parents, I'm not getting a Netflix documentary. I'm getting a 3-bedroom condo in Richmond Hill.
That's a great joke.
Great joke. Anyways, just calling out some, just want to give some props to our fellow Asians.
I love that. I love.
No, she's hilarious, and she with me, Leonard, and a whole bunch of other people are engineers turned comedians for some unknown reason. I was actually yesterday on my other podcast, Gage, and I was interviewing Amish Patel, who
also an engineer turned comedian.
Also an engineer. I don't know what's going on.
Paul Ogata, he's Japanese American, also an engineer. I interviewed him when he was in Beijing. Anyways, he won like the San Francisco Comedy Festival a few years back, but there's like an engineering trend. Now you guys are making jokes. Sorry.
And I'll just sort of open this up on any other elements that our panel wants to dive into about Better Luck Tomorrow.
Yeah, I do. I love the movie. Just because it was like just a throwback to like high school and all the like, that movie itself was a lesson in education. Like you could ingest so much information, like the lifespan of an amoeba. They had all these definitions for these hard words like temerity and inextricable. Like it was very learned for a movie.
Quixotic.
Oh yeah, quixotic. Oh, thank you for teaching me how. I was like Don Quixote. How do you spell this word? But I just thought the movie had so many elements of like a Shakespearean tragedy, right? Like I don't want to give it away, but I will. Like in the end, it was I almost forgot what happened, maybe because I was too young when I first saw it. But there was like a brotherhood, like a coming together of like these 4 Asian characters. And I think the 3 of the other characters are more level-headed. And then we have this one character who's kind of off the wall, like the crazy sidekick, and that's Virgil. But who the hell names an Asian kid Virgil? Like, that is a very name. Like, what the hell? Anyways, he goes crazy. But I just want to say that the acting in the movie is so good. Like, when Virgil is in the car and when he first pulls a gun on the white frat boy and, like, gets a rush from beating him, he's like, oh, that's better than sex, even though he's, like, a virgin. But you see this arc when he's sitting in the cab and he's getting high off of this feeling of power that he felt denied his whole life. And it's that first scene in the movie that you realize that these Asian kids that are being portrayed as like the cool, smart, like we have it together. We know what we're doing. Academics is cool. We're part of the decathlon club. Is it the decathlon or whatever? Their smart club or whatever. And then when they go to this party, sorry, whatever. It's not a decathlon.
It's the smart club.
The triathlon, whatever. They go and do spelling bees and trivias. The point is, guys, they go to this party, and that's the first time you see in the movie. It's about 30 minutes in, and you realize that they're not only the uncool kids, they're regarded as, the nerdy math kids, the Asians, the chinky, irrelevant nerds who have carved their own niche in high school. And then the freaking Derek guy, who's very tall and handsome, pulls a gun. And that's when Virgil goes crazy and he starts kicking the shit out of him with Ben, even though Ben's reluctant. And I just want to talk about that scene in the car because like he should have won like an Academy Award or an award, like something for that performance when he goes from this intensity of that was so fucking cool. We just like kicked the shit out of this guy to, oh my God, I'm gonna go to juvie. Like the excitement turned to fear was just wow.
Yeah. Jason Tobin says that's the point in the script that really got him because he was like he wants to be De Niro. He was like, I didn't get into this. I'm an actor. Like the Justin Lin said like when they were like looking at reels of Asian actors for this thing, because like they had so few opportunities like to do anything in Hollywood with one of the reels, I forget which actor, but basically it was just a series of clips of him delivering pizzas in like TVs or movies because those are the only roles he could get, just pizza delivery boy.
See?
And that was his reel. And yeah, no, that was an amazing scene.
Amazing.
Yeah, the thing that I just like how they turned Ben into Asian Rudy.
Totally.
It was just like, wait, what, Ben? I was like, he's fucking Asian Rudy. And what really pissed me off is like he's like doing his free throws. Like, his form is horrible.
Horrible.
His free throw form, he's like, he's like just shot putting it up there. I was like, what are you doing? Are you like? It was really upsetting.
No, but how about that prostitute scene? Like, couldn't they have got a hotter white chick to be the prostitute in Vegas?
Well, I mean, they were on a budget, I'm sure, but also
she had like a massive bush and no titties. I was just so disappointed.
She looked she was, she's from the 70s. It was great. It's fine. It's fine. If you're going to lose your virginity to somebody, I don't know. You could do worse.
The 90s, Leonard. Like, this is Jenny McCarthy era.
Well, this movie came out in 2002. Let's be honest.
Okay.
And by the way, you can always, and I feel like 2002 is still late enough that when I was like, because I had to look back, because like when they just casually threw out the word fag, and the word retarded, and I was just like, when did they make this movie?
You're right.
And they also casually called each other the N-word as well. So.
Yeah.
Did.
I don't, you know what's so weird? I didn't even clock that. Like, I hang out with people who just say it all the time. So I'm just, they're black, by the way, just FYI. I'm not with racists. I have to point that out. They're allowed to say it. I don't say it. They say it. I hear it all the time. So I didn't hear it in this movie.
Yeah, it's funny. This is totally on an aside, but one of the weirdest questions I got from a new comedian, because for listeners, I sort of do this thing with new comedians called fresh new comedy, and they do Q&A. And there's this black comedian, who asked if he should be using the N-word on stage. And one thing I said, I was like, listen, okay, I'm not black, but I grew up in the ghetto, which I do mention a lot. And I was like, listen, I'll put it this way. If you have to ask the question, you probably shouldn't be using it, because anybody who would use it is so a part of them that they
you don't think twice about it. Like, why are you self-conscious about it? If you are, you're...
Yeah, the very first show I ever did in my life, there was this comedian there named Dino Archie. He's a fantastic comedian. He's based out of Vancouver, but he's from the States. And there's another comedian on stage, and he used the N-word. And Dino was just like, all right, hold on, stop. Dino's a black guy. He's like, stop. And then he just basically just preached. He was like, listen, he's like, you do what you want. Like, I'm not saying don't, but if you're going to use that word, make sure, like, you do it in a joke where like, oh, I can tell this joke in Compton. I can tell this joke, in Brooklyn. I can tell this joke, like just somewhere where if I can tell this joke in Compton and not get killed, then it's fine. Yeah. And that's really what it comes down to. So really, it's like where, when it comes to using these dangerous words like the N-word, the C word, and either one, I guess, it just comes down to like, how are you using it? And it's a tightrope, right? And you just have to be that much better at comedy and understand how you use it in those words. Like the way I describe it is like, fugu, like the Japanese pufferfish, right? So like there's like that's what you're doing. You're basically preparing Japanese pufferfish for your audience, and you have to be really fucking good at doing it, because if you fuck up, people will die.
Yeah.
Right? And you can't be like, man, like freaking, like if your customers die, you can't be like, man, people are just so sensitive to poison. Like you can't.
Yeah.
You got to be careful, man. Like when you're using those words.
The interesting thing with the movie and the use of these different words is it's kind of hard for me to think about it, because we're looking back at it in 2020. It's a different time. And part of me is kind of like, you know what? In a high school, Asian kids would be using those words. So
it
it's
was accurate. It was 100% accurate. It was just like, I mean, if you look back to like Eddie Murphy's Raw, like the #1 track on his album is called Faggot. So you're just like, it's a different time.
Right. It is a different time for sure. I think another thing in the movie that really resonated with me was this idea of image. And I think that really so I think when Leonard, you mentioned how the critic was like, how can you make this empty Asian movie? No, it's only empty to you, white guy, because you don't understand Asian culture.
Exactly. He was like, these are real people. You just assume what people are supposed to be. And you're like, how could you make Asians look bad because they're supposed to be model minorities, and fuck you.
Exactly.
I'll make an Asian Boogie Nights if I want to.
But there were so many elements that spoke to generational Asian culture, like this whole idea of face and how image is everything. And as long as you present that, as long as you get that title, you're okay, because that's all it's showing, it's face. And that is Asian culture. Look the part, play the part, get the title, get the role, get into the school, and then no questions asked.
Yeah, it's academic theater, man. It's kabuki theater. There's all sorts of shit. Look at any Asian who you think is doing well. There's all sorts of shit going on underneath that you have no fucking idea. Not me. I'm totally clean. But other Asians.
Yeah. No, 100%. I just think it's such an underrated movie, and I'm just so disappointed that nothing more came out of it. I almost feel like I'm disappointed that we have to pay for it on iTunes. It should be on Netflix right now. It's just a movie that was made before the time was ready for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, it launched Justin Lin to massive success. He was the original Linsanity.
And when I was in China, I interviewed the creator of the Fast and the Furious, Rob Cohen, and it was Justin Lin, you directed, you helped make these movies, but where was the Asian in it? You know what I mean? Except Tokyo Drift. I know, but that's such a offside. That's just oh, we're in Tokyo for this race. It's
with Wonder Woman, and he's in all the sequels. Oh, by the way, this is a fun fact. So in Tokyo Drift, so they were in Tokyo and they were filming, but they did not have permission to film. The city did not give them any permits. Right. Have I told this story already? I feel like I
tell it to the podcast, because I think
so basically what happened is just like the director, he didn't know, but the studio basically hired somebody to take the fall. So when the authorities were like, why you can't film here, what are you doing? Some dude was like, it's me, I'm the director, it's my fault, and they threw his ass in jail. He was paid to spend a night in jail.
And it saved the real people. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's I get what you're saying, Jennifer. It is too bad. Hopefully, with what's happening with Crazy Rich Asians, it's more than just that one movie. At the least, we know that movie has sequels, unlike Joy Luck Club and unlike Better Luck Tomorrow. So that'll go on, and maybe that'll start a bigger wave. Hopefully, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's art. That's on us too. We have to create art that they have to make.
Yeah, that's why, because a lot of us here do more than just comedy. Like Jennifer, you act. Leonard, you write. Me, I'm starting this whole basically a production company to produce short films written by Asians about Asians. So it's just sort of let's make sure it doesn't happen what happened before, and let's take whatever power we have to push forward the movement, because there is just so much talent, and I think there's an appetite for it. So
for sure. And to all our viewers listening, I encourage you to go watch Better Luck Tomorrow if you haven't already. It's just, I think it's such, I don't know, I know the ending was kind of a flop for me, how he drives off with like the guy that, the girlfriend of the guy that he just killed.
I
And
thought he was just like, hey, go watch this movie. By the way, here's the ending that I didn't like. What are you doing, man?
No, I just think it's such an important movie.
Great movie, though.
Great.
Yeah, and any fans of Fast and Furious who are anticipating the return of Han in the new Fast and Furious movie, even though y'all thought he was dead and then now he's resurrected in the trailers, go back, watch his origin story, see who he was before he started stealing cars for a living.
And got to hook up with Wonder Woman.
Yes, that too.